Hi, welcome to 10-minute wrap-up series. In this video, we will learn about the most important and the most repeated theme of ethics syllabus, particularly of the first point of ethics syllabus, that is, I coded it as E1, which means ethics and human interface. The topic is why ethics matters. Before starting, let us go through previous year questions. The current society is plagued with widespread trust deficit. What are the consequences of the situation for personal well-being and for societal well-being? What can you do at personal level to make yourself trustworthy? This was asked in 2014. What does ethics seek to promote in human life? Remember this question. This is repeated again in 2022. Why is it all more important in public administration? This was asked in 2014. Explain how ethics contributes to social and human well-being, which is asked in 2016. This question is repeated from 2014. What is the role of ethics in personal well-being and for societal well-being? Here they asked it again. How ethics contributes to the social and human well-being. The next question is discuss the role of ethics and values in enhancing the following three major components of comprehensive national power, which are human capital, soft power, that is culture and policies, and social harmony. This was asked in 2020. Here same, the role of ethics and values in enhancing the human capital. The next question is it is believed that adherence to ethics in human action would ensure smooth functioning of an organization. If so, what does ethics seeks to promote in human life? I said before, this is again repeated. This was asked in 2014. What does ethics seeks to promote in human life? Here same. What does ethics seeks to promote in human life? What does ethical values? How does ethical values assist in the resolution of conflicts faced by him in day-to-day functioning? This was asked in 2022. And again from this same point, the question was asked in 2024 also. Ethics encompasses several key dimensions that are crucial in guiding individuals and organizations towards morally responsible behavior. The role of ethics in guiding the individuals and organizations towards morally responsible behavior. Explain the key dimensions of ethics that influence the human action. Discuss how these dimensions shape ethical decision making. The main theme here is what is the role of ethics in human action and also why ethics is necessary. So let us see what all we need to remember to write an answer whenever there is a question why ethics matters to promote personal well-being as well as societal well-being. Let us start. In the introduction, you can start with definition of ethics. Ethics is knowing the difference between what you have right to do and what is right to do, given by Potter Stewart. I repeat, ethics is knowing the difference between what you have right to do and what is right to do. Now we'll see what are the key dimensions of ethics and how they help in personal decision making. There are three key dimensions of ethics, that are normative ethics, descriptive ethics, and meta-ethics. The normative ethics guides morally what is right or wrong, especially during ethical dilemmas. It guides what is right and what is wrong. The descriptive ethics focuses on how people actually behaves. It does not prescribe what is right or wrong, but it focuses on how people actually behaves based on certain principles. And meta-ethics, that is why we should be ethical, which means meta-ethics explores what is the origin of ethics, why we should follow the ethics. Let us now see what are the other schools in these dimensions. In the normative ethics, there are three schools. The first one is teleological, second one is deontological, third one is virtue ethics. The teleological school, which is also known as consequentialism, judges the action by their outcomes. The action is judged based on the outcomes achieved. For example, utilitarianism by Jeremy Bentham and J. Mill, which promotes greatest good of greatest number or greatest happiness of greatest number. The utilitarianism, moral worth of action is judged by its consequences. The another school is deontological school, focuses on inherent morality of the actions, regardless of the outcomes. Whatever may be the outcome, the inherent morality of the action is important. For example, categorical imperative given by Immanuel Kant. This categorical imperative advocates doing one's duty because it is intrinsically right. For example, promoting human rights, constitutional values. The example of consequentialism is building a big dams which compromises or sacrifices the interest of some for larger good. That is, it promotes irrigation and food security, but it compromises the needs of certain small section of the society, which is justified based on greatest happiness of greatest number. The another school of normative ethics is virtue ethics, which emphasizes on moral character and virtues like honesty, courage. For example, golden mean of Aristotle, where Aristotle suggests moderation is the virtue. And also the example of Socrates, where he told knowledge is virtue. The knowledge of what? The knowledge of good life is an virtue. And also another dimension of ethics is descriptive ethics, where it focuses on how people actually behaves. Rather, it does not prescribe what is right or what is wrong. There are two schools. First one is ethical absolutism and another one is ethical relativism. In ethical absolutism, there are some moral values which are universal and unchanging, regardless of culture or situational context. For example, murder or lying are considered as moral values across the globe. And the another school is ethical relativism, where certain moral values are context specific. For example, polygamy is accepted in certain cultures and which is a taboo in some other cultures. And the last dimension of ethics is meta ethics, which means why we should be ethical. This is the basic question, and it explores the origin of ethical concepts, from where the ethics originates. There are also three schools in this meta ethics. The first one is Ayn Rand's ethical egoism. He advocates the action or conduct which is based on self interest is ethical. On the other hand, the action which is against the self interest is unethical. This is the concept of ethical egoism. The Gandhi suggests the role of conscience. The origin of ethics is in our conscience. If we listen to our conscience, it will tell what is right or what is wrong. And Bhagavad Gita also suggests ethical duties are the cosmic truths. By following these ethical duties, we can attain salvation. These are the key dimensions of ethics. Let us summarize. The three key dimensions are normative ethics, which guides morally what is right or wrong; descriptive ethics, which does not prescribe anything which is right or wrong, but it it describes how people actually behaves based on some principles. And another dimension is meta ethics, where it explores what is the origin of ethical concepts. There are certain schools in normative ethics. There is teleological, which is also known as consequentialism. For example, utilitarianism of Jeremy Bentham and J.S. Mill. Deontological school, which focuses on categorical imperative, which advocates the duty-based approach. The virtue ethics, where the virtues and moral character emphasis is made. For example, golden mean of Aristotle and knowledge is virtue of Socrates. And the descriptive ethics, there are two schools, ethical absolutism and ethical relativism, where ethical absolutism means the moral values which are universal and unchanging regardless of culture or situational context. And ethical relativism, which are context specific. And metaethics, there are three schools: Ayn Rand's ethical egoism, Gandhi's role of conscience, Bhagavad Gita's ethical duties are cosmic truths. Now let us see why we need ethics. The first point is it guides the moral decision making. It serves as a moral compass which helps individuals to make choices which is right or wrong based on some moral principles. For example, a government officer refusing the bribe who is guided by the moral integrity. It promotes the trust and accountability. Transparency and openness in decision making promotes and builds public trust. For example, Denmark and Finland, which are top rank in corruption perception index because ethical governance is linked to strong public confidence. And the next point is ethics fosters the social cohesion and fairness. Ethics promotes justice, empathy, and fairness. Justice means fair treatment to all. Empathy means understanding feeling of others. Fairness is impartiality in decision making. For example, India's affirmative action rooted in ethical ideas of justice and empathy of oppressed section. Ethics supports the rule of law and human rights. Ethics ensures rule of law It is not just followed out of fear of punishment, but out of respect for justice and human dignity. The rule of law is followed not just out of fear of punishment, it is followed out of respect for justice and human dignity, which promotes human rights. It, the rule of law helps in sustaining the healthy democracy and protects the civil liberties. The ethics encourages the altruism and compassion. Ethical values inspire service and selflessness. Example, the langar, which is a free kitchen in Sikhism. Ethics promotes altruism and compassion. It supports environmental responsibility, that is, moral responsibility to protect the nature, which promotes intergenerational equity. For example, Chipko movement and ethical environmental behavior is crucial for global challenges like climate change. Ethics promotes environmental responsibility. And ethics builds character and personal virtue. Ethics shapes the character by cultivating the values of honesty, humility, courage. These virtues lead to self realization. Ethics builds the character and personal virtues. These virtues helps in self realization. For example, Mahatma Gandhi's life centered around the truth, that is Satya, and non-violence, that is Ahimsa, made him the global moral leader. His self realization of Satya or truth and the principle of non-violence made him global moral leader. Ethics helps in reducing the corruption and abuse of power. It promotes the public interest over the personal gain. It promotes probity in public life, which means honesty and integrity in decision making. Ethics reduces the corruption and abuse of power. Ethics promotes the peace and conflict resolution. Ethics encourages the tolerance, mutual respect, and nonviolence, which are key to solve the social and political conflicts. Ethics encourages the tolerance, mutual respect, and nonviolence, which are key to solve the social and political conflicts. For example, Nelson Mandela's policy of reconciliation. This policy was ethically driven, avoiding the revenge and promoting the healing. Ethics creates the culture of social responsibility. That means, for example, corporate social responsibility. Society built on such ethics is resilient, cooperative, and just. The society built on these ethics is resilient, cooperative, and just. Now, let us summarize the points. Why we need ethics? It guides the moral decision making. It acts as moral compass. It promotes trust and accountability. It fosters the social cohesion and fairness. Upholds the rule of law and human rights. Encourages the altruism and compassion. And supports the environmental responsibility. Builds the character and personal virtue. Reduces the corruption and abuse of power. Promotes the peace and conflict resolution. Creates the culture of social responsibility. Now, let us see what we can write in the conclusion. Ethics for better individual and better society. Ethics are not just abstract ideas, they guide practical behavior, ensures justice, and create sense of shared purpose, that is nation building. I repeat, ethics for better individual and better society. Ethics are not just abstract ideas, they guide practical behavior, ensures justice, and creates the sense of shared purpose, that is nation building. I will come up with the next important theme. Until then, I hereby signing off, one of the unreserved mind of UPSC community. Thank you.